Hello everyone and good evening. As always, we're so glad and fortunate to have you with us, this time on the very first day of September. Headlines tonight include an updated weather forecast. The showers and storms in our weekend's forecast have now moved up and away from the weekend and into our work week, along with some heat and humidity, the likes of which will just maybe help fire off a few showers and storms. Definitely an updated forecast of great interest, especially in lieu of the fact of Heritage Days and the Labor Day holiday ahead. Headlines will also include tonight coverage, I'll take you to the scene in just a few moments, of a serious single-car crash, perhaps one of the worst single-car crashes we have covered in quite some time. It happened in the Barnetts Creek area in Johnson County, just a few miles into Johnson County on Route 40. We'll talk to local officials in just a few moments, and we've been awaiting since June the 12th, since the decisions of Special Appointed Judge John David Preston were affirmed by the Kentucky Court of Appeals as it pertains to, of course, the election case here in McGoffin County. A partial or minor ruling has been handed down today. I'll inform you on that. We'll also see what some young students were doing, having fun and taking a lot of pride in what they were doing in the downtown Sagersville area, and many other headlines, of course, will be working their way into what's left of tonight's program. Only a brief update, because it's become a national story for days and continues to be, on Round County Court Clerk Kim Davis. She did enter her office early this morning and again said that she was refusing to issue marriage licenses of any sort. Now, this, of course, is also being followed by news that there has been several motions filed on behalf of couples in the Round County area who are asking the courts to charge her with contempt after refusing again in defiance of the law. A hearing has been set on the matter for this Thursday in U.S. District Court in Ashland. Now, Davis has also, and I believe for the first time to this extent, issued a statement on her behalf, saying in very brief part that while in church, she heard a message of grace and forgiveness and surrendered her life to Jesus Christ, and she never imagined a day like this would come, where she would be asked to violate a central teaching of Scripture and of Jesus himself regarding marriage, to issue a marriage license which conflicts with God's definition of marriage. She says it's a literally heaven or hell decision for her, and for her it's also a decision of obedience. No licenses issued. The hearing once again set for Thursday. Two reports coming right now that will both have follow-ups on tomorrow night's program, both happening earlier today, beginning with that serious car crash that I just mentioned. It happened in the Barnetts Creek area of Johnson County. Johnson County Sheriff's Deputy Tim Clark was investigating the accident, gave me some information while he was on scene, as did a local fire chief. Deputy Tim Clark says the initial call that came into authorities was that of a silver Dodge pickup truck that was traveling at a high rate of speed in the Route 40 area. Moments later, this crash was called in.
The report was he was flying.
Oh,
okay?
man.
He was flying. And no brakes, nothing. He come straight around the curve and hit that rock.
A similar account by the deputy as well. The vehicle was traveling west on Route 40, a silver Dodge 4x4, when the driver lost control of the vehicle. Trying to negotiate a left-hand curve, the vehicle dropped off, you can see here on the right-hand side, or his side of the roadway, and then traveled an estimated 160 feet. And then there was one large protruding rock sticking out from that hillside, and that came into direct contact with the passenger side of the vehicle. And I mean to a great extent. I'll give you a closer view here in just a few moments. Now, there were two people inside, the driver and a female passenger. We're told they believed that it was an older couple at the time. There were no other cars involved. Responding to the scene was the Oil Springs Fire Department, the chief from which you just heard, as well as the Paintsville EMS Department and the Johnson County Sheriff's Department. Two people were removed from the vehicle. The female passenger had to be extricated. At the time, Deputy Clark said it was under his impression and understanding that a landing zone had been established, and they were calling for 2 helicopters to come to the scene to transport both victims. No other information about their condition as of right now. But look at this point of impact. That is the passenger seat, and that is the front wheel of the pickup truck making contact with the passenger seat. That is just how violent of a collision and how grave an impact this crash was. There was also a head off of the motor that was literally sheared off and was sitting between and behind the 2 bucket seats, if you will, in the pickup truck. Once again, no other details as of airtime in regards to the condition of either of the occupants. We also do not have their identity at this hour, but we do know, per Deputy Clark's information, that the truck was registered to an Oil Springs address. Another report, the likes of which I'll have a follow-up on tomorrow night's program. We've already reached out to the public affairs officer with the Kentucky Department of Vehicle Enforcement, several officers of which were in Magoffin County earlier today. At least 5 or 6 different vehicle enforcement cruisers were seen patrolling the Sayersville Route 7 Mountain Parkway 114 area, and many of them made stops of large commercial vehicles, including this one in the Fox Run area. We're told that the large truck pulling this large trailer with the dozer on the back was ordered off the roadway, and it was one of several done so. Some vehicles did pass inspection, some did not. We're told that infractions included everything from no insurance to no brakes to not being licensed for several years. We will have a follow-up on tomorrow night's program. Once again, the public affairs officer is set to be with us sometime tomorrow and fill us in about their activities, what their goals were, and how many citations and what types were issued. But suffice it to say, they were out in heavy force earlier today in Sayersville and in Magoffin County. More to come on that tomorrow. More headlines in just a moment. To get high-speed internet on their state-of-the-art fiber optic network for all of your home and business solutions, or to watch TV without a contract on over 200 digital channels with superb quality, or stay connected with family and friends with 24/7 telephone service you can always depend on, contact Foothills Broadband today. Or just click on their link to the right to find out how they're working to provide the latest in communications at affordable prices with exceptional service at Foothills Broadband. We're still putting together a few details as they pertain to the ruling handed down by the Kentucky Court of Appeals as it relates to the Magoffin County election case. In just a few moments, I'll have that for you in its entirety and some other headlines as well. Right now, let me take you to the downtown Sayersville area where I learned, among other things, the difference between horticulture and floriculture. Floriculture, a little more finite, that deals directly with the discipline of horticulture, concerned with the cultivation only of flowering and ornamental plants for, of course, a variety of reasons. And the Magoffin County High School's floriculture class was the one today doing all the work.
This is the floriculture class, and we are decorating for Heritage Days.
And what a great community project this has turned out to be. Kendall Wright has been the agriculture teacher at the Magoffin County High School now, this going into her 2nd year, and she also teaches floriculture and horticulture. They call it greenhouse for short. And when local officials and the Sayersville Renaissance program heard of a floriculture class, well, they jumped on the opportunity to have these kids help them beautify the downtown area.
Horticulture is where Miss Wright teaches us all about different types of flowers and how to assemble them, and just how to make any type of area look better with floral type design put into it.
And as you can see, not only is the downtown Sayersville area getting all flowered and decorated up for the Heritage Day Festival and, of course, the holiday weekend just ahead, but it's also, of course, an educational experience for these students, one they say that is very hands-on per instructions from their teacher.
And I want you to tell me what area you see first, what area you look at the longest, okay? So everybody start right here, we're going to walk this way. I noticed this. I looked it right there. Yeah, I noticed this area. I looked down there.
But Miss Wright is really knowledgeable in everything that she talks about. She's really good with the whole class and really good with us, and really helps us understand what we're doing.
But she really cares about our ideas. Like, she always makes sure that our opinion's in there too.
I saw you all voting. Is that what you
Yeah.
Yeah, we were voting on a design over there actually.
Yeah.
She thoroughly makes sure that we know what we're doing. She doesn't just let us go. She makes every kid feel like they're important.
As for all of the flowers, I'm told that they were purchased with city tourism funds. Many of them, as many as possible, were also purchased locally. And I'm also told that the greenhouse is back in operation at the Magoffin County High School. Kendall Wright, who promises to talk on camera next time, everybody gets one free pass on this show, says that they have already started working on the greenhouse. They will have some spring flowers, more than likely some vegetables as well. And then maybe even before that, maybe some poinsettias for the holiday season. And speaking of seasons, the students are under the impression that if they do a good job, they get to come back each season and do this again in the downtown area and perhaps in a broader scope. and I think it's a pretty safe bet to say they're coming back.
If City Hall likes our design for the fall and the Heritage Days, then we get to come back and continue to do our work and maybe even move on farther into the city, like next to the courthouse, and we do the flower boxes and more over towards the City Hall area.
Before your community calendar, a couple of announcements. This one came in late last night, and today was the first of 2 days, I believe, for the yard sale for the Little Rachel Church at Trace. They're having a yard sale at the old, and I thought it was so neat they referred to it as the old Pomida building. That takes me back, as I still say that sometimes, at the lower end or left end opposite the IGA of the Magoffin County Plaza. Now, they'll be there tomorrow morning, beginning at 9. All items are priced cheap, they say. The Little Rachel Church from Trace will be having their yard sale tomorrow in the Magoffin Plaza. And we mentioned yesterday your complete list of events for the Heritage Days Festival. The 4-H Pet Show was one of them, and I wanted to mention the categories for them as they've asked me to do: kitten, cat, puppy, dog, costume, best trick, and most unusual pet. If you have any questions, call the Extension office at 349-3216. That will be Friday morning at 10 o'clock when it begins. And for other announcements, here's tonight's Magoffin Farm Bureau Community Calendar. The first reminder is that Picking and Grinning's been canceled. Let me back that up just a second. I thought I left myself a little more time. Picking and Grinning's been canceled at the Kearney Fuel Baptist Church this Saturday in lieu of the Heritage Day Festival. They want to wish you a very happy Heritage and Labor Day. That's from Kearney Fuel Baptist Church here in Magoffin County. A first annual horse show has been put together by the Middle Fork Volunteer Fire Department. It's this Saturday evening in West Liberty on Liberty Road. Call 349-3835 and ask for Rick or Fabian Deaton if you have any questions. Great classes, great cash payout, a great cause as well, and a great evening to take part in a wonderful horse show. A whole lot of classes. You can find out more by calling 349-3835. And while it's not until the 27th day of September, this month now, I have a hard time getting used to that, a benefit bike ride has been put together to help support Luke Lewis and Ivan Howard. They're going to leave the Ramey Park, ride to the Gorge, and back. Leave that morning of the 27th is $20. And if you don't have a bike, don't want to make the ride, you can also donate $20 to still get in on all the prizes they're going to give away. A blood drive. The next blood drive is not tomorrow, but a week therefrom here in Magoffin County, giving you plenty of heads up. The Kentucky Blood Center Mobile will be here behind the Sagersville Subway next Wednesday, not tomorrow, but the following Wednesday, 12:30 till 5, for another chance for you to save someone's life. A quick reminder that Heritage Day does officially begin here in Magoffin County tomorrow, 6 o'clock, for the opening ceremonies down at the Historical Society there at the cabins. Shortly thereafter, the baby contests begin at 6:30 on the cabin stage. And then, of course, we'll kind of keep you up to date throughout the rest of the week. But Thursday, with the other little pageants, they'll start at 6, and then the Miss Teen thereafter, and Miss Magoffin County Friday night at 8:30. You know the drill. But I'll remind you about the big ones just to make sure, and the little ones too. With that said, I'll be right back after a few words from a few sponsors. Be sure and let them know you're watching when you can. I'll have our final headline, the ruling handed down by the Kentucky Court of Appeals, in just a few moments. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward on over to your Licking Valley RECC-powered forecast for the time being before we get to that last story for this evening. And with it, there are some changes abound, and it's not all a bad thing. The heat and humidity, that could be the bad thing, and also might help fuel a few showers and thunderstorms a little earlier in our forecast than what we had thought. Those that were predicted for the weekend after a dry week, well, it's kind of reversed just a bit. Tomorrow's another dry day. I think a little fog tonight after 2 a.m. under partly cloudy skies. You saw a low of 66 tonight, and then we'll go into double digits again, well, double repetitive digits tomorrow. 88, mostly sunny after that fog. Partly cloudy skies late on your Wednesday. Don't see any precipitation tomorrow, and pretty much the same for at least the first part of your Thursday. We'll see a little fog at the onset. We'll see a chance of showers and storms mainly after things get a little unstable, mainly after 2 or 3 in the afternoon. We're only talking about a 20% chance, and that really is kind of mid-afternoon, not so much Thursday morning or Thursday night. The upper 80s are very present. We will be close to 90, if not so, on your Friday, mostly sunny. And then once again, as the afternoon progresses and the heat does as well, after about 3 or 4, we'll have a 20% chance of some showers and storms Friday afternoon, not so much Friday night with a low of 65. For your weekend, Saturday and Sunday have dried up. That slight chance of showers is gone, but we're still talking about near 90 degrees for the weekend, 89 on your Saturday, a low of 64, mostly sunny and a few clouds above late that night. Just warm and sunny, and we do believe dry at this time for your Saturday of the holiday and Heritage Day weekend. And for the latter half of the weekend, pretty much ditto. Sunday, upper 80s, close to 88. Mostly sunny, a low in the low 60s, and a few clouds above late that night. Another dry, albeit hot, and somewhat humid into what would normally be your weekend, but we're hoping you'll get an extended weekend, and if you do so, Labor Day on Monday looks to be more the same. A degree or two cooler, I think 86 or so on your Monday, under mostly sunny skies. No precipitation Monday either. Our next chance of some showers and storms, unless things change, which they may, is not until Tuesday of next week after Friday's 20% shot. I'll be right back with more headlines. Satisfy your hunger and get a great deal on some famous home cooking at your Sagersville Lee's Famous Recipe, where we started the under $5 daily specials. On Wednesdays, it's our 3-piece dinners, famous crispy or roast, any way you like it. Get a leg, thigh, and a wing, 2 sides, and a biscuit for only $4.99 or $3.99 after 4 o'clock, and you can get a breast, thigh, and a leg for just $1 more. All at Where We Cater, gatherings big or small, your Sagersville Lee's. Since June the 12th, we have been keeping close tabs and a close eye on any happenings within the Kentucky Court of Appeals. It was on that date that they affirmed the ruling of Special Judge John David Preston in regards to the Magauffa County Judge Executive's race when he declared the election null and void, thus removing Charles Hardin, Magauffa County Judge Executive, from his office for what he declared was an unfair election, not declaring the challenger, John Montgomery, a victor at the same time. Well, that, of course, made its way to the Kentucky Court of Appeals, who affirmed that decision, as I said, back in June. And then a petition for rehearings in 2 different manners were filed on behalf of all parties involved: Hardin, the Board of Elections of Magauffa County, as well as John Montgomery himself. Today, we have heard back from at least one of those petitions. To be more precise, it's actually 3 petitions, but all one type. Now, going back to give you a bit of a recap and to try to sort through the details, when the ruling was first upheld by the Kentucky Court of Appeals, there were several motions filed for a rehearing on behalf of Charles Hardin, the Board of Elections, and Montgomery in and of himself as well. He requesting that it also be reheard, that he possibly be declared the victor. So after those petitions were filed on July the 6th, we have waited until now. We have also petitions in 2 different manners. Each of those 3 entities filed petition the same manner, my understanding. One, to have the case reheard by the same panel of judges, that 3-judge panel, and also for each case to have their hearing brought before the entire panel of the Kentucky Appeals Court. So you have 2 different types of motions which were filed, 3 of each. One, to have it heard before a 3-judge panel, the same, which of course upheld the decision, and on the other side, to have the hearings brought before the entire panel of the Kentucky Court of Appeals. The ruling handed down today is the same for all 3 of those requests for it to be heard or held in bank, which was the request to have it held before the entire Court of Appeals. The petitions still are pending for the request to have the hearings brought back before that same 3-judge panel. So we're still waiting to hear for those. So it's a partial or minor ruling as they referred to. But here is how they referred to their decision. The ruling before me, and in part before yourself right now, says that the Board of Elections, as well as the appellant, Charles Hardin, have petitioned this court for a rehearing in bank, as it's called, for the court's opinion in the above-styled election appeal. They say that going in bank is actually a prerogative that's granted by the Supreme Court only to the chief judge of the Court of Appeals. They say that law says that, quote, if prior to the time the decision of a panel is announced, it appears that the proposed decision is in conflict with the decision of another panel on the same question, the chief judge may reassign that case to the entire court. but finding no conflict and exercising the discretion allowed by that rule, it says that the petition for rehearing in bank is hereby denied on all counts, which we here in the studio interpret as saying that the Chief Judge of the Supreme Court has the authority and the jurisdiction, if you will, that before the decision was made by that three-judge panel, if upon their realization that the decision may be in conflict with the decision of another panel, that judge may have had the authority to assign the case to the entire Supreme Court, which he did not. And therefore, as the finding reads, finding no conflict and exercising the discretion allowed by rule, they determined that the request for the hearing before the entire court was denied. Once again, the three petitions filed to have a rehearing before that same three-judge panel, which has already upheld Judge John David Preston's decision, those, I am told by the Kentucky Court of Appeals clerk, are still pending. And I was also told that there was no timetable given as to when we will hear a ruling on those petitions. Follow-ups from a couple of tonight's reports, including the conditions of those that we believe were seriously injured in that single car crash, and we also expect to have some numbers and some information from the Department of Transportation as to their activity in McGoffin County earlier today. And just like today, you just never know what news you'll miss if you're not here, so be sure and join us then. Thank you all, and good night.